Welcome to Official Storytime with Miss Anna. Today we're going to be reading My Name is Gabito by Monica Brown, illustrated by Raúl Colón. The Life of Gabriel García Márquez. Let's see what the book is all about. Can you imagine a shipwrecked sailor living on air and seaweed for 8 days? Can you imagine a trail of yellow butterflies fluttering their wings to songs of love? Can you imagine gold and silver fish swimming in air? Can you imagine? Once there was a little boy named Gabito who could. This little boy will become one of the greatest storytellers of all time. Gabito was born in the magical town of Aracata, Colombia, and his imagination was just as big, as great and wild as the thickest jungles and the highest mountain tops of Colombia. To Gabito, the world was a magical place. He grew up in a little house with his big family and, according to his grandmother, a strange and mysterious ghost. Sometimes little Gabito will imagine the ghost lady gliding through his house and rocking the empty rocking chair in the family room, back and forth, back and forth. Gabito never sat in that rocking chair because he didn't want to squish the ghost. Gabito's imagination was big. Gabito also lived with an amazing 100-year-old talking parrot named Lorenzo the Magnificent. Lorenzo will make up stories of his own, just like Gabito, and sometimes his stories turn out to be true. One day, Gabito listened to Lorenzo tell a story about a big angry bull getting loose. Imagine his surprise when a big angry bull ran right through his kitchen. Maybe, though, Gabito, Lorenzo the Magnificent, had magical powers. Gabito's imagination was wild. Gabito's favorite person in the whole world was his grandfather, Nicolas, who had a giant dictionary filled with many amazing words. From this dictionary, Gabito learned that magic is not just for witches, that gypsies are wanderers with a taste for adventure, and that words can be big and great and wild too. The more words Gabito learned, the more stories he told. Each day, after breakfast, Gabito and his grandfather put on matching Scotch plaid hats and walked through the town of Aracata, holding hands and smelling the jasmine flowers. The two of them would walk happily towards a cafe where they met his grandfather's friends for lunch. His grandfather always let him dip his hands into the pitcher of water and lift out the cold and crunchy ice cubes. The more people Gabito met, the more stories he told. Sometimes Gabito and his grandfather walked past a big banana plantation at the edge of town. He saw how hard the people on the banana plantation worked picking fruit. Even so, little Gabito, it didn't seem fair that those who worked so hard were so poor, and this made Gabito sad. He tried to imagine a world where no one was poor and where everyone could sit with their grandfathers under the shade of a tree, holding hands and crunching ice. The more things Gabito saw, the more stories he told. Under the hot sun, Gabito grew tall. He learned that ghosts were real, that parrots sometimes speak the truth, and that not everything, even in his magical world, is fair. Most importantly, he learned that he loved stories. He loved hearing them, reading them, telling them and writing them. He loved creating worlds where the impossible was possible, where dreams were true, and where people could float and fly. The more stories he wrote, the more he wanted to write. When Gabito grew up, he wrote the most exciting stories in the world. His stories were magical and amazing, but just as real as you or me. Can you imagine what kind of stories Gabito told? Close your eyes and see. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a man with enormous wings falling from the sky? Can you imagine the most beautiful woman in the world? Can you imagine? Can you imagine flying through the air on a magical carpet? If these stories sound magical, it is because they are, and they were written by the boy called Gabito, who grew up to be Gabriel García Márquez, the great storyteller, read by millions, loved by all. But Gabito never forgot the parrot and the bull, the jasmine flowers and the banana workers, and the dictionary full of wonderful words. People on all 7 continents read his stories and loved them and discovered just how magical and big and great and wild the world can be. Oh, this is a beautiful book. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.